Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first and best episode of 2019, episode number 36 of the Hashcast. And as always, I have a guest way more interesting and way cooler than myself. And tonight I have someone way handsomer than myself as well. My good friend Parris Lilly, how are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm good. I'm glad we finally got to do this. I love all the innuendo I would throw at you on Twitter. You know, when you would do the podcast, I'd be like, "Hey, what
Yeah.
about me?
I
I
know.
want to come on that podcast."
It's not for the lack of trying, but like you are just a busy, busy man. Because I think we started talking about this in June or something like that.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but yeah, I'm glad we finally figured it out and was able to do this.
No, that's great. That's great because you're one of the people I always run into when we go to the same conferences. I think at E3 I run into like 17 times a day.
I know that was what year was that? Was it?
215,
I think it was
216, yeah.
something like that. It was like I saw you like 10 every time I turned a corner, you were there.
Yeah, that
it
was very
hilarious.
funny. That was very funny.
Yeah.
So for people who do not know who you are, there might not be many, but can you give us a quick roll down of who's Parris Lilly and what is it that you do?
Okay, I'm Parris Lilly. I'm a podcaster on a podcast called Gamertag Radio. I've been a part of that show since 2013. We talk about all type of video games and we argue about other nonsense, and we like to have a lot of fun with that. My podcasting life actually goes back further than that. I don't know if you want me to go deep dive into all that, but I actually started podcasting back in 2006.
Oh, wow.
And it was a podcast called Uncle Gamer Radio that I did with my partner, Jay Van Beveren, and we did that for a number of years. He wound up getting a job in the industry with EA, and I decided that it wasn't fun doing it without him.
Yeah.
So I retired.
Yeah.
I think this was like in 2011 or something like that. And like Danny Godfrey on Gamertag Radio, he actually was one of my inspirations for podcasting in the first place. I was listening to him back like in 2005, and we'd been friends during this whole time. So they reached out to me. I think I came on their podcast in early 2013 because I was really in love with BioShock Infinite. I was playing at the time.
Yeah.
So they just had me coming on. I kind of just gave my impressions, what I thought about it. Got a good reaction from listeners, and then they reached out and said, "Hey, want to do it full time?" And I said, "Nope, don't want to do it full time. I can't commit to anything. Don't ask me to do that. I'll come on whenever I can." And I think I've been on full time ever since. So it was April of 2013.
That's good. That's good. You have this perfect podcast voice too. Like you're just a delight to listen to. But how did you get it? You said like you started in 2006. Starting a podcast is one of the easiest things to do, but running one for a long time, that's hard. Like why did you start and how did you keep going for that long?
Okay, so how did I start? So that again, that kind of it goes back to 2005. So like I was saying with Danny with Gamertag Radio, he was someone I listened to all the time, and then there was another one I listened to called DreamStation.cc, and that was another friend of mine, Chris Palladino. He used to do that, with Tom and all those guys. But the point of the matter is, they were my early inspirations for podcasts. And what got me into it was I saw Danny and Chris at a Microsoft event for, I think it was like Lord of the Rings or something like that. They were at Xbox, in Redmond doing this. And I was like, oh my God, you get to go to Xbox? and I was like, I think I want to try and do this too. Because, I'm like, hey, I have opinions on stuff. So I reached out to one of my good friends at the time, and we decided to start our own podcast. And actually, I fibbed when I said Uncle Gamer was the first, because it wasn't. It really was a podcast called The Old School Gamers.
Yeah.
And we started this podcast. It was very short-lived. But it was me reaching out to Danny and Chris because these were the two guys I listened to a lot. So I literally emailed them. I was like, hey, I started a podcast. Do you have any tips? And Chris got back to me right away. And he gave me tips. It's funny, like I'm recording my audio on Adobe Audition right now. He was like, you got to get Audition, you got to go on Skype. He's like, naming all these things you have to do. And I remember he listened to the podcast we did. He gave critiques. This was like on a Saturday morning. He went completely out of his way to do this. Did not know me at all, which, I will always remember and be thankful for that. But he early on helped me out a lot. And then Danny was like on vacation, and he came back like 3 weeks later, and he reached out as well, gave me similar tips and like that. And it just went from there. Like I said, Old School Gamers didn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, okay, I had a good run with that. But then another friend of mine was like, no, I think you're actually good at this podcasting thing. You should try and do it again. So then tried again. I remember we were trying to figure out a name because every good video game name was taken even back in 2006, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember, and I fibbed again when I said Jay was my podcast partner. He was not. My first one was another guy called Robbie. He started it. So his wife is actually the one that came up with the name Uncle Gamer because we were just trying to find names, like URL names that weren't taken. And then she found Uncle Gamer and it wasn't taken. And we're like, oh, that's it. And we just ran with it and did it from there. And the rest was history.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because what I found personally in this games industry, like finding mentors and role models like that is such a help in becoming successful in this business. So you reached out to Danny and he was there for you. You have been so established now because like when I see you and I see a show and it's so well put together and you're so good at this. Do you ever have people reaching out to you at this point?
Yeah, actually, we do. I even have a funny story about that.
And that's what I'm here for, funny stories.
Yeah. So over the years, we've had people, reach out to us and say, hey, tips on podcasting. And it's kind of that pay it forward thing. So again, like I just told this story, that's always in the back of my head. So I always try to pay it forward and help out people as I can. So here's the funny story. I'm at E3, God, I don't even know what year this was now, maybe 2008, 2009, up in there somewhere. And I remember, actually I don't remember, here's the problem, I'm getting this story from another person. So he's a good friend of mine now, his name's Mark, and he's the host of Guardian Radio, it's a Destiny podcast. And he told me that he met me at E3 and was like, hey, I listen to Uncle Gamer, big fan, blah, 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 blah. And he said, I turned to him and basically blew him off and said, yep, podcasting's real hard, good luck. And it was on my way. And I was like horrified. I was absolutely horrified when he told me that because he said he was pissed off at me for years over that. Like he didn't like me legit over that for years because he thought I blew him off, and I probably wasn't trying to blow him off. I was probably just being honest, at the time, and he used that as fuel. Yeah. So like, I'll show him kind of thing, and he wound up doing his own podcast. And then the whole reason that we even met up was because I was just a listener of Guardian, because obviously I love Destiny, and I'm just listening to their podcast as just anybody else would. And I think somehow, some way, I reached out to them, asked a question, whatever, and then that's what started the conversation. He's like, "Oh my God, you're Parris, and da da da. Yeah, I hated you, and da da da." That whole thing, and now we're good friends. But
that is so fun.
When he told me that, and that was, God, that was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. He told me that, and even I really took that to heart. So even now, if someone reaches out to me, I definitely make sure I don't discourage them because obviously I accidentally came off as being discouraging. So I definitely try to be honest about the trials and tribulations of podcasting, but definitely give advice on what equipment to use, software to use, and just the honest conversation of, look, you need to do this for you. Yeah. Don't do it because you're instantly expecting 1,000 or 5,000 people to be listening to your podcast. Because the truth of the matter is there might be 3 people listening to your podcast, you, your wife, and your mom. That might be it. You never know, right? But if you're loving what you do, then continue to do it because that is a rule I live by to this day. When this isn't fun for me anymore, I'm done. Absolutely done because it's about having fun with this whole creative process of doing podcasting and giving your opinions and getting feedback about it, good and bad, by the way. That's what I love about the whole podcasting thing. So anybody that wants to attempt it, absolutely go for it and try it, but have a passion of doing it because you love to do it. Because my motto is, if you're good, you will gain an audience eventually. It will happen. Word of mouth will go around, obviously with social media now, because there wasn't even a Twitter back when I first started. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a YouTube when I first started. And look at where we are now, being able to have all these avenues for content creation.
No, that is a good story though. It's funny how one comment that you don't even remember has such an impact on someone's career, and how funny that you circled back and actually start listening to that show. That is fantastic. But it is good. Like I said, like people that I talk to on the show about their podcast or their content. They are usually already successful, so you always get the success story. But I know that there's a lot of people trying it and failing it, And that is just too bad because it is a little bit of luck I think there as well. But like you said, if it's not your passion, if you do just for the audience, then it's easy to burn out because like me, there is like a million white middle-aged dudes trying to start a podcast and. Getting that audience is tough. I still struggle with it as well. When I look at my numbers, I'm like, like it's a lot of effort, man. But you, as long as you have that steady grow, and like I said, I'm having a lot of fun with it. So that's important. But maybe one day I'll get to your level, which is like super awesome. I just remember seeing you doing an episode in the lobby at E3, just like sitting down here interviewing people. I was like, wow, the mics pop, everything was just ready to go. Those are goals for me, at least still to achieve. So you are also inspiring to me as a person and with the show. But how do you deal with that? Like you are pretty established now. Now you said like, I want to go to Microsoft. You've been to E3. You've been to all the shows. Like, how does that feel? Do you feel like I'm there, or is there still targets that you're trying to hit?
No, I don't think I'll ever feel like, quote unquote, I'm there. Because let's put it this way. I'm not quitting my day job over this. Let's put it that way. So I'll never think that. I mean, have I done, that's why I said I, quote unquote, retired in 2011. Because I even felt back then like, wow, I've been able to do so many amazing things because of this podcast. Like, hey, if I never get another opportunity again, I'm good, kind of thing, right? And I still feel that way. I feel like every opportunity that I've gotten since has just been a blessing. Like, I was just in Sweden a few months ago, for a Battlefield 5 event. And it's like when it hits you when you're actually there and you're like, wait a minute, I'm freaking Europe. Oh, to see a video game. It's the craziest thing ever. And, it's like, I one time I spent a week in London. Because of a video game. And it's like I got to see all these amazing things and all that. So I'm very blessed and thankful to have these opportunities. Like I was even just at an event for the Division 2 over at Red Storm. And we got some unique content that's going to be able to come out of being able to visit that studio in the next few months, which again is such a blessing to be able to do. So I think that's the thing that keeps me motivated and drives me, that we're able to have these opportunities that, look, to be upfront and frank, I know there are literally millions of people around the world that wish they could do some of the things that I've been able to do. And it's like, when you think of it on that level, it's like, always just be humble about it. I try to be very humble about it. I never try to take advantage of it. Whenever I go to any of these events or any of the various PR people that reach out to us to grant us these opportunities, I'm always so very thankful for it, because I know, dude, it could be gone like tomorrow, and I'm just a blip on the radar, and who cares about me, right? Because there's so many other amazing people in this industry and in this space that do content creation. They don't necessarily need me, to come in and give my lame opinion or see this angry old man on Twitter ranting about something. So the fact that people actually appreciate my opinion on things, both the positive and the negative side of it, oh yeah, I mean that's what's amazing to me. And I bring up the negative thing because, I know on Twitter, I get the reputation, the joke here of, oh, he's all salty and angry, but it's not even really that. It's just I'm very honest, but I always feel like I'm honest but respectful. Like and I've definitely had people in the industry tell me this, that they appreciate that. Even though I may say I'm not liking something, I explain why I don't like it, and I do it in a respectful way. I'm not just ranting like, "Oh, this sucks. Well, why does it suck?" Give your reasons why. Give constructive feedback on what can a developer do to make their game better, or like, if I don't know if it's Microsoft or something, to make their hardware better. Be constructive with that kind of stuff, because I think that goes a long way. Not everything has to be unicorns and rainbows. You know what I mean? If anything, like I was saying, when I do get feedback about that, they actually appreciate it more when you're saying what's wrong versus what's right, because everyone can give a pat on the back and say something's great, but it's the people that are actually, I don't want to say brave enough, but the people that actually stand up and say, look, I didn't like this about your game, and here's why I didn't like it. You know what I mean? I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. I wonder if you have this problem now that you, like I said, you get invited to Division 2 thing. You went to Sweden to DICE to check out the new game. Like the longer you do this, the more you get to know the people behind the product, right? You get to know the PR people. PR people are always super friendly. Like they are out to take care of you. Developers are very human beings that put their heart and soul into these games, and you get to know those faces. Does it become harder to have that disconnect between the consumer and developers, and especially when you're covering it? Because that's sometimes what I have some issues with. Like you start to be more understanding maybe of the process, and that might take the edge off for you, or do you not have that problem at all?
It's a fine line. It really is. And I think I could actually take Destiny as that example. I had the unique opportunity a couple years ago when Destiny 2, the PR ramp up for Destiny 2, and then even at the launch where I got invited to a lot of events, got to meet a lot of the Bungie employees, obviously, the Activision PR people, all that kind of stuff. So I started getting really close to the game and the people that are making the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. And people, it is no secret how much I play that game and I like that game. But I feel like when Destiny 2 launched and I was singing its praises, but then we found out a couple months later that, look, this game ain't all it was cracked up to be. I almost felt like I kind of got duped by Bungie a little bit in that way, in that we just didn't know. Because, I played it, review event, and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't see the in-game portion of it. We just got to see the campaign stuff. So I kind of almost felt like, well, I feel like I'm defending this game and not being critical enough. Yeah. And it was this fine line of, well, I don't want to just start crapping all over the game just to, quote unquote, show that I'm not selling out to the man. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I also know some of these people there, and I don't want to completely trash the game, but I don't want to sit here and just overly praise it at the same time. So it was a very fine line when it came to that. And I think what happened was, I was just honest. I was just like, just be honest about what you think. And I was very honest and upfront of like, look, take my opinion with a grain of salt. You already know how much I like the game. You know how much I play it. I'm going to continue to play it. But here's what I see on what they should be fixing, and I just kind of laid it out that way. And I think what that's evolved into where we are today, a lot of people know that, I still play the game. I'm still waving the Destiny flag or whatever, but I'll also be one of the first people to stand up and criticize something that I don't like about it. Yeah. So even expanding beyond that, yes, I do have some people, some PR people, even more specifically, that I'm actually really good friends with. Yeah. And you can't let that affect your opinion when it comes into a game. You know what I mean? Like, you have to separate that. And I've even had conversations with some of these individuals offline that, for me, their friendship means more to me than, whatever with a game. So I would hope that if I'm critical of even though, say you invited me to your event, if I walk away from that event and say I don't like the game, I hope you understand that that's just the quote unquote business side of it. That's just me being honest, but that has absolutely nothing to do with my friendship with you. No. And I think that's actually worked out very well, where we keep those two things separate. Yeah,
that's good. I kind of had to, it's not a problem, but I got invited to some of the Shadow of the Tomb Raider events, and I was impressed. I liked that game, and when it came out, I still liked that game. And then the reviews came out, and it didn't do super well, but I still liked it. And then I was like, yeah, but this has nothing to do with the fact that I did get to play it for a couple hours before long. That made me almost feel uncomfortable. Like, people are going to say I'm shilling for this game, and I genuinely liked it. But luckily, there were enough other people that also really liked it. But what you're basically saying is that we have you to thank for Forsaken, with all the constructive feedback that you've been getting.
God, I wish. Yeah, I wish.
But you're professional. You can handle this. So that's good. It's something that might go overlooked sometimes when you start doing this kind of stuff. Like, all of a sudden, these businesses become business friends, and then you have a beer here and there, and then you got to go back and be a professional. And I hate it when I play something that I know a lot of people put a lot of work in, and it just is not good.
Yeah, and it's just not good. Yeah,
It's the worst.
I've encountered that. It's absolutely the worst. But I think, again, if you're being honest all the time and you're just being who you are, they understand. Because again, and that's the one thing that I've learned about this. When you're dealing with people in PR and even the developers, we're all just people, right?
Yeah.
They're just trying to do their jobs. They're just trying to put food on the table for their families, just like I am, right? And sometimes, hey, they may be doing their job to 100% to the utmost best effort they possibly can, but ultimately when that game comes out, it's not the greatest in the world. It's just, it happens. And I think as long as you're honest and you're not sugarcoating things and BSing around, they can respect that and appreciate that. I think one of the best things that I can, like I said, if I stop doing this tomorrow, is a lot of the PR relationships that I established, over 10 years ago, I still have to this day.
Yeah.
To this day, and like Danny and I talk about this all the time. It's because it's how you approach people and you're respectful to them.
Yeah.
You let them do their job, they let us do our job, and they'll always remember that. Like, I won't even say who it is, but there was a PR person who I highly respect in this industry because she pulled me to the side years ago and kind of just told me how this whole thing works and really opened my eyes to how it works, right? And I remember she was talking on Twitter about a game that she has, that she, basically we're going to have an event for here in the next couple weeks. And without hesitation, I literally just replied on the thread. I tagged Danny on it and said, hey. And she immediately reached out to Danny and, invited him to the event because I knew we had that kind of relationship. It wasn't even about me. I just saw, hey, here's an opportunity that one of my guys can actually go to. And she saw that and immediately they connected on the side. But that, to me, that is the whole point I'm trying to make is it's like, you want to have those kind of relationships. Me as the quote unquote content creator and that person as the PR marketing person is, it's a symbiotic relationship. We need each other and we have to work together. And like I said, you want to establish those relationships and keep it respectful and keep it professional. But then sometimes, you might actually take it a step further and you become friends. But I think that's okay too, as long as you know where to draw the line.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I always find it interesting to see how everybody deals with kind of stuff. Because I have people on the show from both sides of the content creators, but also the developers. It must be difficult from their end too, when you have a good relationship with someone, like, oh God, guy doesn't like it, and I feel so bad. But it's that is interesting. I do want to dig in a little bit about your Destiny affliction because I am also a huge Destiny nerd. Destiny 2, I've been playing. I think like 350 hours of it at this point, because I dropped off for the longest time. We kind of covered that launch Destiny 2 wasn't super great. Like there was a lot to do, but once that was gone, it was gone for a while. So I took a year off and then I got back to it. Did you keep playing until the expansion, or were you out for a bit?
I took like mini breaks. I was still engaged in it. Like I have a great clan that I'm a part of. My son is actually part of the same clan. So there's almost that kind of, that kinship and family atmosphere within the clan. So even while I wasn't playing every day like I may have been in the past, I was still aware of what's going on, and I would jump in every now and again, like especially when new content comes out, check it out. But look, the bottom line, they screwed up. They did. And it took them an entire year to actually fix it. I think the game is in an amazing place right now. I think it still has some room to grow, but it got back to giving us things to do in the end game. Hell, the Dreaming City, it is literally end game content. They built it for the end game. That's the whole point of it. I look at something like Shattered Throne with the dungeons. I just think that is such a sweet spot for where they need to go in the future, which I think there's a secret dungeon coming soon.
Yeah, it has to be.
But that's the sweet spot. Those 3-man raid level activities, because I'll take you even back to House of Wolves.
Yeah.
When I think of Skolas, my God, that dude was in my freaking nightmares, trying to get past him. And that, again, that was a 3-man activity. I really think that's a sweet spot. I mean, obviously the raids are the raids. They're fantastic. They're some of the best cooperative things that you can do in gaming, period. But just the accessibility of doing the 3-man content versus the 6. Because, look, it's like herding cats sometimes, trying to get 6 people together. But 3 is a lot more manageable. So, I love the game. I know I kind of went off on a tangent of what you're originally asking. But, I've stayed engaged in the game, for sure.
This is going to be my segue, because I do want to talk about some stuff that we're looking forward to 2019 and beyond. Destiny 3 is something I am looking forward to, because we know it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon.
Yeah. 100% it's going to happen.
I'm thinking 2020. I think PS5 launch, maybe.
I actually slightly disagree with that in this sense. I do think it's 2020. I still think it'll come in September 2020. But Destiny 3 will be on the Xbox One and the PS4, and it'll be just like when the first Destiny came out. It'll be a cross, where then it'll be on PS5 and whatever the new Xbox is going to be as well.
It's I don't know what that game did to me, but when I came back in Forsaken, it was just so good. And I think an important part is that it became part of the clan. Like, shout out to the What's Good Guardians, because without a good clan and the ability to do all these end game activities, I think I would not have been playing anymore. Maybe Shadow Throne, but that's every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks that dungeon was
every
available.
3 weeks. Yep.
But it's a good game. But I want to talk to you about this, because you play with your son. I remember when you got to play Gambit for the first time with your son, which is a game mode in Destiny 2 if you're not to the in. How does it go playing with your kid? Because my daughter is 4. We just started playing Super Mario 3D World together. How did he always have the interest, or was it just because Dad's playing he started playing? How did that grow?
I mean, he's been interested in games, for a while, even at a younger age. But like Destiny specifically, it was funny. I remember he was like, it's funny. He's 12. He's almost 13.
Okay.
And when this started, he was like 9 years old. It's just crazy how time flies. But he used to come in the office and watch me play. And then I remember, because I hate hunters, so I won't play as a hunter. And he was like, he wanted to start playing. So I basically, he was my mule, and I let him, I had him level up my Titan, and then I let him play as a hunter. So I was like, you do whatever you want on a hunter. So he would play when I wasn't playing. And this was when I just had just the one PS4. And then after Taken King came out, Santa Claus visited and got him his own PlayStation 4, and then you can do the whole family share thing. So set him up with the PS4. Matter of fact, I think you and I were even talking about this on Twitter, like how to set that up.
Yeah, you taught me how. You and Jackie Collins.
So then that's what got him his own PlayStation, and then we started playing together. And I'll never forget, we ran him through his first raid, and it was King's Fall. Was the one, with the because matter of fact, again, full circle, Mark Guardian Radio, I actually had hit them up at the time, and I was like, hey, I got my son, but I don't want to expose him to LFG stuff or random people on the net. I want him to play Destiny. I go, can you recommend any clans, or what can we do? And I remember without hesitation, those guys was like, hey, we'll take your son through. So I remember we did it like on Twitch, the whole thing, and we ran him through, and then that's when he really started getting into it. It's like, oh, this is so cool. And I mean, the dude's a Crucible savant. I mean, he's so good in the Crucible. It's crazy. He's really good in Gambit too. And yeah, man, I mean, he's not the type that we go raiding. It's not a, hey, let me hold your hand and, and carry you through. If anything, like I said, he's carrying me, which is great. So it's good. It's been a great bonding thing between him and I. And he's tapered off somewhat because of the full Fortnite craze. But with like Forsaken and everything, he started coming back. Matter of fact, he's leveling up his Titan, and I think I'm gonna jump in with a Warlock and play low level with him, and we're gonna level him up together to get it up at current light level.
Warlock's the best, man.
It's funny. With Destiny 2, I've actually been maining a Titan.
Oh, really?
But Destiny 1, yeah, Warlock was the first character I ever started in Destiny. But Destiny 1, I was Warlock main for sure. Towards the end of Destiny 1, I started playing with a Titan. No, matter of fact, I take that back. It was House of Wolves. It was freaking Skolas. And I was so pissed. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm starting a Titan and I'm running a bubble. Because I was like, we got to get past this. So that's when I started a Titan. But still, Warlock was my main. And then here on Destiny 2, Titan's been my main and Warlock's been my secondary.
Yeah, I played Titan Destiny 1. And then at the end of Destiny, I was bored, so I created another character, and I just fell in love with the Warlock with their I think it was Stormbringer that they had back then. That made me switch, and now I'm like full on Warlock, but I have 3 characters over level 600 right now because I'm a maniac.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, you're doing better than me.
Well, I sit at home all day, so that does help a little bit, but that's I like that activity. Like I hope my daughter gets into it, but I don't want to be the kind of dad that's gonna be like, you're gonna like this, video games.
Yeah, it was all just on his own, just organically. I didn't push it either way.
Yeah. Does he have any idea how cool you are? That you do all this cool stuff?
They don't think I'm cool.
No. How do they not think you're cool? When you're going to
they just think I'm a dork. Well, I mean, my oldest daughter, because she's 17, she's a junior in high school. She's very aware, like she sees I'm verified on Twitter and all that, and all her friends know. So yeah, they get a kick out of it. Yeah. Like my son and my youngest daughter, I'm just dad.
Yeah, that's good in a way.
They think it's cool that like I will go to events and travel and stuff. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's nothing to look forward to. I was like, I'm gonna blow up. Like I have a couple of nephews that still think I'm the shit because I knew someone who did a voice in Fortnite that gave me like credit for months. Even my mom is taking credit for that. She's a teacher. She was telling that story tonight because she's visiting from the Netherlands. Like, yeah, I showed them the picture of your friend who was in Fortnite. Like, she's taking like third-hand credit for for that coolness. But that's interesting. It's changed for me playing as a dad. Has it changed for you, or have you just always been playing and has it always been interconnected? Because like I said, my kid is young, 4 years old. Like we're in the middle of mainstream gaming, and now all of a sudden I'm witnessing all these things that I look at it differently. Did that hit you when you became a dad and the games changed for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was kind of alluding to before. I'm very protective of who they interact with online. That's kind of the main thing because I don't want them to be exposed to a lot of the nonsense that you see. So that I'm very careful. I'm very picky of who they get to interact with. Like I mentioned the clan with like my son or whatever. I trust them with my son even if I'm not there. Like I don't remember where I went. I went somewhere and Trey wanted to do one of the raids. It might have been I think it was Wrath of the Machine. And I let them do it. They did it without me. I was not even home. That kind of thing. So that's kind of cool things like that. But yeah, and obviously I watch the type of games that they play. I would say just Destiny as an example, or even a Fortnite is about as violent of a game that I will let them play. Obviously nothing that has sexual content, things like that, because they don't need to be exposed to that too early until they're actually mature enough and ready for it. But I would say that's about it. I mean, they've always known that me being their dad, that I game. When they were younger, obviously when they were babies and everything, I couldn't game as much as I wanted to. And ironically enough, even now, I don't game as much as I used to, just because my kids are of an age that they're playing a lot of sports or doing a lot of things. I commute to work for my job, so it's just I just don't have the time. So I'm actually very picky on what I play. So if I lock in on something, then I'm going to invest time into it and play it. But I'm not juggling like 10 games at once. If anything, two, maybe 3 at the most I might play. But really, it's usually just 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's good. Like I always not worry about it. Worry is too strong a word, but like we are well informed when it comes to gaming, and when I know when my kid starts playing something or gets an interest in something, I know what's going on. I know that there's probably a lot of garbage surrounding that online or whatever. But there are so many parents that don't do that. Like, do you think that gives you the edge, or do you think people still need to be better informed on what they let their kids
I think there's excuse me. I think there's an education that for sure needs to happen with a lot of parents. They just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't. They're not realizing. And again, it's not like when you and I were kids. I mean, it's a completely different, connected world now where they're exposed to so many things that if you're not keeping up on it, then you're literally just oblivious to it, and not even realizing you're allowing your kids to be exposed to this kind of content. So I do think there's definitely a constant education that has to go on with parents to be able to understand the kind of content that they're consuming. I'll give you a perfect example. If you would have said to me, what is this, Thursday? Yeah. If you'd have said to me exactly a week ago, if my son would have said, hey, Dad, I'm going to go watch Rick and Morty, I would have said, okay.
Yeah.
But I started watching Rick and Morty literally a week ago, and I've binge watched it through. There's no way in hell I would let my kids watch that now. But you know what I mean? Yeah. I just assumed it was some goofy cartoon with like a Doc and Marty Back to the Future vibe. I did not realize what it really is. Yeah. But again, that was just me being oblivious, you know? So, and that, you know, is one example, but that applies to gaming as well. You have to understand the type of games that they're playing and not just think, oh, it has a cute cover on it, it's fine. No, it could be violent as hell, or it could have some ridiculous storyline to it with kind of just very mature content that they're not ready for.
Yeah. Do you think content creators have a role to play in that?
100% they do. Because we're in a world right now where these content creators, especially the streamers and even the YouTubers, you know, this is how our kids are consuming their entertainment now, right? So these are the personalities that they're watching and that they're looking at, and they do have a response. Now, look, I'm not going to tell any content creator that, hey, you can't curse or you can't be vulgar and all that. Again, that falls back on me as the parent censoring what they're doing, but you know, if you're portraying yourself as a quote unquote PG or a G content creator, then I expect you to stick to that and not decide to go off on to some kind of random thing that you know isn't going to be appropriate for children. Because again, understand your audience, understand who's actually consuming your content and adjust appropriately. If the majority of your listeners are under the age of 15 or watchers, whatever, under the age of 15, then I do think you have a responsibility to that you don't expose these kids to things that they don't necessarily need to see. If that's how you're initially portraying yourself. Now, if you're an R-rated show and you're like, I don't know, like More Console as an example, he does a lot of Destiny YouTube videos. That dude drops the F-bomb every other word. And I've met him, and I even joked with him. I go, yep, I'm never letting my kid watch your content. We laughed about it, but he's aware of that. And me as a parent, I'm aware of that, and that's fine. So yeah, I do think there's a responsibility on both sides when it comes to that.
Well, luckily for me to have this conversation, we had a nice introduction to 2019, where some of the biggest YouTubers are promoting like online gambling with real life loot boxes. I'm not sure if you caught that story yet. It was if you haven't caught up the story, it's like two major YouTubers are pretending to win stuff with legit real life loot boxes where you spend $4 and you can win all kinds of stuff. Apparently, turned out to be like all a big scam, of course. So they get into hot water because people start making reaction videos. We talked about the responsibility of, the role of that content creators have to play. But when are these platforms supposed to step up? Because this week has been terrible for large platforms. Like we have Twitch, who unbanned the dude who beat up his wife on stream. Yeah. We have the Pauls now promoting some sort of gambling on their platforms. Where is this going for major platforms? How do you see that?
Well, it's funny, like you bring up the Twitch example, because that's obviously been a hotly debated topic, online today. And again, they have a responsibility as well. This, again, just people don't know the story. This guy literally hit his wife and potentially his child on stream, right? Just in this fit of rage. And I even remember when that happened at the time, there was the debate, well, you don't know what she did to him. I was like, dude, it doesn't matter. She's a woman. I don't care. I don't care what she said or did to him. It does not matter. Don't put your hands on a woman. Period, point blank. But long story short, Twitch suspended him, but now he's back. And if anything, he's had all this free publicity. I guarantee you his numbers are probably through the roof right now because of that. But Twitch as a platform, why are you allowing him back on your service? You take the moral stand on this and know that, look, I don't care how much revenue he could potentially generate for you or not, it's not worth it. It's just simply not. And at some point, us as the consumers, we got to take a stand on this stuff. I mean, I don't know if this is the breaking point, but if we continue to see this, you know, I in my personal opinion, I would just literally stop going to Twitch because, you know, to say, hey, this is not acceptable for me. This is not something I want seen as being acceptable to my children more so than myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's sometimes I wonder, like, what does it need? What is it gonna take for these plans?
Yeah.
It's not the first time.
I agree.
You know, this kind of stuff happen, and then we get this apologetic nonsense letter for a day, and then it goes away. I guess it's up to Epic to disrupt the industry again and start their own streaming service, because they seem to be in the business of disrupting businesses nowadays. I don't know. It's bothered. Like, I'm not a huge Twitch person. Like, I tried streaming. I don't know why I stopped. I guess it was too much at the same time. But I don't know where it's supposed to go, man. Like, there's so much garbage every now and then, but there's also so much good. And like, I'm not gonna pretend that I have the solution for this. But you said, like, as a consumer, we have to step up. Do you think it really matters? Like, because I'm not paying for Twitch, right?
Yeah, you're not paying for it, but I mean, it's just a thing of, I mean, that's the only thing that you can control is, do you continue to support that platform? Mm-hmm. So if you want to not show support for them, it's simply don't watch their content there anymore, right? But, like, I just think streaming as a whole, and I know this is a controversial thing, I think the current revenue model and the way it all works, this bubble's gonna pop. Yeah, it is. I don't think this is sustainable long term. And look, I get it that there are, when you start thinking about your top 1%, top 5% streamers, absolutely quit your job. You can make a living off this. This is great. This is nothing against that. But then when you look at, let's take an example, the whole Ninja controversy, where Ninja was being advertised on other people's streams for his New Year's Eve thingamajigger or whatever, right? I see it from both sides. I understand why Twitch is doing this, because Twitch is like, dude, this is our cash cow. He's literally the most popular streamer in the world. We want to make sure as many eyeballs are going to his channel as possible. But if I'm not in that 1% and I'm just a mid-level or even a beginner streamer, and you're advertising, hey, stop watching my stream and go watch this dude, because maybe I had a New Year's Eve stream planned or something, right? You're taking food off of my table. You're taking revenue away from me for doing this. So what's the balance there? I don't have the answer. I don't know, because I see both sides of it, but I understand why people are upset with it. And then, you know, like I said, just the whole people doing the whole subscription model, and you donate this and you that, and this is the revenue stream. And let's say you just have a bad month or something, and now no one wants to watch you anymore. Now all of a sudden your revenue dries up. It's like, that can't be sustainable long term. It can't. It just can't. I don't have an answer to it. Maybe I'm crazy and people yell at me and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. This is the future. Maybe it is. But for this 45-year-old man, I can't see this current streaming model. We're in 2019 now. When we get to 2025, there's no way you can tell me this is still going on. No way. It's going to have to evolve from what it currently is. Yeah,
I am always curious on, when are we going to hear the stories about the kids, let's call them kids because I'm also old, that gave up everything to get successful at streaming, and then it popped, like something happened. There is no safety net as a streamer. Twitch does not teach you how to deal with your money, even if you get that quick hit of fame. And at $5,000 to $10,000 a month if you really hit the big leagues, like, you need a plan, and I don't think Twitch provides anything. No, they don't. Like, as soon as your relevance dries up, then you're on your own, having left everything behind. But boy, I could talk a whole episode about about that. But it's interesting. Like, you are a Discord partner, Twitch partner.
Yes.
How much work did it take, and how important is that to you to keep that up?
I have to say, with the Twitch thing, Twitch approached us at E3 a couple years ago about this, because they wanted to get different types of content onto the platform. So yeah, we met with one of the Twitch partner people. I don't know what the exact title is. Had breakfast with him at E3, and they offered it to us, and basically we signed the contract, the whole thing, and we're partner on Twitch, and we do our podcast live on Twitch twice a week. And I mean, we can't go streaming on YouTube, or anything that's live has to be on Twitch from us. We can, as individuals, do things on other platforms, but anything that's under the Gamertag Radio name has to be on Twitch.
Okay. No, that's interesting. Twitch, call me if you want. No, just kidding. I like to be a rogue wild dog and do whatever I want and put myself on SoundCloud. Also hit me up. But it's like you've accomplished so much, and we kind of weave through some of your accomplishments. What is next for you? Like I've seen you talk often about like, hey, I'm a super skilled guy. I have a lot of qualifications. I can translate this into a job in the video game industry. Is that still something you're looking after?
I can't comment. I'll say this. Say this. I have interviewed with a gaming company for my skill set.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, let's not blow NDAs here.
We'll see.
Live on the show. We'll talk about that once the buttons turn off. Yeah. But that's good. I'm glad for you. But there goes like 5 minutes of conversation I have had. But still, that's pretty. That's good for you. That I'm not sure if you want to like project a little further, but that step, that if you make it or not, if you go to another site, is it going to change everything you do right now, or?
100% it will.
Yeah.
100%. If I take a job in the industry, I'm done with being able to podcast and do all that stuff just for the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Especially in, I do security. That's my day job. If I were to take a job in the industry, it would be security. So I would know things. So there's no way I can sit on a podcast and speculate about this and that, knowing full well I actually know what's really going on. It just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. Who do you think are some up and comers that could take a spot like you've held? You have a good audience. I think you are a very good voice in the industry. But I'm always curious about the up and coming voices, like how we can uplift those. Like, who are some people that you think we should keep an eye on?
Well, I'm not even gonna say like up and comers in the sense of like I'm on this level and they're down here, because we're all peers in my opinion. The group that I will put first and foremost is going to be Spawn on Me. Khalif and Cicero and Sharif and those guys over there. I mean, they're like my brothers. I love them to death, and they do a very unique podcast that puts a spotlight on people of color, and they talk about very sensitive topics in a very intelligent and mature way that, I'm sure some people get mad at them, but again, they're just speaking the truth. So I really love what they've been able to do, and I just see the arrow going up, pointed for them. Another person, which you've actually had on the show, is Andrew Lyons, Uriah.
I've been on his show.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Why did I think he was on this one? But anyway, I remember the conversation. I'm just, you're podcaster now. I'm just thinking it was your show, but you're right. But anyways, Andrew, he's another one where
he's great.
I just love, like, matter of fact, he did a podcast that came out this week where he just sat down with the guy and they talked about building a NAS and just everything that goes into that and just the technology side of it. He's definitely branched himself out away from just talking video games. He tries to cover everything. He's streaming games now and doing all that. So he's definitely another up and coming person that I'm very excited to see, where he's going to go. I will fully admit, I don't listen to a lot of gaming podcasts.
No.
I find that I don't want my opinion influenced because I heard something somewhere else, or if I give an opinion that's very similar to another podcast, you just heard that here, and I'm like, well, no, actually I don't listen to them, so I don't know. So I'm very I'm very picky on the ones that I do listen to. I do listen to some of the bigger mainstream ones, but when it comes to some of the smaller ones, like, I'll watch a stream, I might do that, but when I'm actually religiously every week listening to a podcast, it's kind of few far in between.
Yeah, no, that's good. I wish I had it's stupid because I have all the time in the world right now, and I still don't take the time to listen to all the stuff I would like to listen to. But it's good. I actually get Ilya on the show. Like I have to reach out to him because he'll make a fantastic guest. And it's about time I get the guy back. That was a fun episode, but it's good. Spawn on me. Like I had Khalif on a couple of weeks ago. I think we're gonna hear a lot more from that group of people. Like they pop 100%. Up everywhere. Like it was like I knew Khalif Spawn on me. Then all of a sudden he's with Greg Miller, Andrew Renee. He's like dropping in on all these great shows. And like you said, they do fantastic work. So if you've never checked out Spawn on me, you should absolutely check them out later. So we kind of talked about you a lot because you're an interesting fella. I want to look into the future because you can't talk about your real future, unfortunately, because it's all secret and NDA, and we'll see where that ends up. But there's a lot to look forward to. So I sent you a question saying, okay, we're gonna scratch the thing, the professional goals and targets, because we just established that you're not gonna talk about that. It's fine, Parris. But 3 things we're looking forward to. Like when I'm talking about media, let's say like games, movies. What are the 3 things you're looking forward to in 2019?
Well, movie is pretty easy. Avengers Endgame. I think that's any nerd out there right now is looking forward to that as far as the movies go. TV, interesting. I'm trying to think. God, what am I really looking forward to?
Not a Game of Thrones
on the
fan?
TV side. Oh well, duh. Yeah, I guess Game of Thrones would for sure be one of them. I think I'll amend what you're saying on the TV side and say it this way. I have officially gotten the green light from my wife to be able to just completely cut the cord.
Okay.
Because we've been holding on to DirecTV for X amount of years now. But look, I don't care if she hears me or not. Just because of her is the only reason, because she watches her reality shows. Yeah. And I think now there's enough of like the live streaming services that have the channels that she would prefer, and they have the cloud DVR stuff. So I think we're to the point now we can get rid of that. So I'm really looking forward to doing that in 2019, where I can just do a combination of, like, I think the one we're going to go is DirecTV Now. So I'll do like DirecTV Now, Hulu, and Netflix. And that's be all our television content that way. And what was the other one you asked? You said movies, TV,
movies, TV, maybe a game that you're looking forward to.
A game. A game. One that a lot of people aren't talking about that I'm highly anticipating is Metro Exodus, which is coming out on February 15th. I'm really looking forward to that game. I've just been a huge fan of the Metro series, and now that they're taking that open world, I mean, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Another one is the Division 2. I was a late comer to the Division 2 because I just did not like it when it came out in 2016. But some of the updates that Massive has done over the past couple of years has really won me over. So I've actually in the last year been playing has it been a year? Not even a year yet, but been playing a lot of the Division. Probably mid to late 2018. God, what is another game I'm really looking for? The Last of Us 2, if it comes out this year. I think it will.
Yeah, we don't have a date
really
on that
looking
one
forward
yet,
to that. No date yet.
No. That's interesting.
I'll say this, a game that I'm highly anticipating, and I even went viral on this game at E3, which it won't come out this year. It'll probably be 2020. It's going to be Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
You did your face walking out of the booth.
Yeah. Because they were filming me as I walked out of the private screening booth, and I said this was the perfect combination of, what did I say? Cowboy Bebop and something else. Yeah. And it just went freaking viral.
Yeah. And with you, like, comparing to Cowboy Bebop is a big deal.
Oh, right? Blade Runner and Cowboy Bebop. That's what I said.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, but my list is slightly different because I'm like Game of Thrones, yes, but the movie I'm looking forward to is, of course, Frozen 2, because I can't wait to take my daughter to Frozen 2 after a year of spending all the time with Elsa. Adventures, like, everybody's excited for that, right? I can't wait for the movie, though. Although, after seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, like, that movie better delivers. Otherwise, it's not going to top that. Have you seen Spider-Verse yet?
That was such a pleasant surprise. And I'll just say, from my standpoint as a person of color and with children that are people of color, it was so refreshing to see Miles Morales be highlighted the way that he was. And it's so funny because my son has always been a huge Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
And he came out of that saying that Miles Morales is his Spider-Man now, not Peter Parker. And I just thought that was so cool because he was typically that New York kid, and he's listening to hip hop. Just the whole vibe that they had in that movie, I just thought was so fantastic. So, really, really enjoyed that. I can't wait till I get a chance to see it again.
Yeah, I had a interesting experience when the first trailer came out for Into the Spider. I don't remember which movie it was, but it was another kid's movie. I was probably out with my daughter. And a kid behind me in the row, when they revealed Miles Morales as Spider-Man, she was like, "That's not Spider-Man." I was like, these kids have no idea, right? If you're not into comics and you just grew up with the movies, you have no idea who this character is. And now, because this movie's doing so well, all of a sudden they get introduced to this whole new angle of Spider-Man. And I know my vision on this is like very much still through the eyes of a white person who's only known Peter Parker for most of his life as well. But when I was watching the movie, I was like, wow, this must feel so good. Like I was having such a great time, but I can only imagine seeing that representation in movies must be great for a whole generation of kids that are getting introduced to Spider-Man for the first time. Like it's such a cool idea for me that there are some people who have never seen a Spider-Man before. Although it's pretty recent, the last live action Spider-Man.
Yeah, with the new one. Mm-hmm.
But still, like 5 years ago, how old's the movie Spider-Man 2? 4 or 5 years ago?
The latest one.
Yeah.
What was that? 2 years? I think it was 2 years. Oh, you're talking the Garfield? No, the Garfield one. No, that was like 5-6 years ago.
Was there anything after that? Was there a Spider-Man after that?
No, not until Tom Holland Spider-Man came
yeah,
out.
Of course. So wow, I just completely skipped over Tom Holland Spider-Man because he was great too. But yeah, it's. I'm glad that movie did well because with Sony movies it's hit or miss. Often, but I'm glad that worked well. So I'm looking, of course, forward to that. But yeah, I'm a kids movie dork right now. Most of the movies I get to watch.
Oh, I have one other movie that, and I have to say this one that I'm highly anticipating, and it's going to be Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you're going to see a 45-year-old man boohoo crying at that movie. I just am. Because with Toy Story 3, I absolutely did. I guess since I'm talking about myself, I'll tell the story really quick. So when my wife and I first met and we were dating back in 95, the first movie we ever saw together was Toy Story. Because, again, we were kids back then. And we saw Toy Story. So it was so, I don't want to say bittersweet, but it was such an awesome thing that when Toy Story 3 came out, we took all three of our kids to go see it. We saw it as a family. And if you just remember that ending of Toy Story 3, the part that got me wasn't even the part with Woody and Andy at the end. It was when Andy's in the room with his mom, and you see the look on the mom's face where she realizes that Andy is grown up now and he's leaving. Dude, that hit me like such a ton of bricks because it's like I'm envisioning that with my kids. And it was just that whole thing of, wow, here we've come full circle where, I met this girl, we dated, we got married, we've been married, 20 years or whatever, have our own family, and now we're taking our family to go see the sequel of the movie, that kind of started our whole relationship. Oh yeah, dude, I'm in there just crying. And I do it with pride too. I don't care who knows.
I have such a disconnect with Toy Story. Like, the movie never did it for me. I don't know why. Maybe it came out at the wrong age for me. I saw Toy Story 3. I'm not sure if I've seen Toy Story 2, to be honest. I think I missed that one.
Wow, you gotta see that.
It's interesting how some of these movies that we describe often as kids' movies have these incredibly strong moments that maybe you miss out on when you watch as a kid, but as a parent or as a grown-up, at least you don't have to be a parent. They are a lot more. They hit like a ton of bricks. Like you said, that moment for you. I had that moment in Moana. I'll talk about this real quick. If you've seen Moana, you probably you might have even missed this because it's really a second of the movie. Is when her grandma tells her she's passing on, so you have to go, and she goes to get her stuff, and then her mom is already there, and then she's packing her stuff for her, and then she gives her the bag with the stuff on the boat, and you can see the tears in her mom's eyes. And that moment is super important because, like, I moved away from my country, from my family.
Yeah.
If you have that moment, then you know everything is okay. But if you don't, then you kind of carry that with you. So that was 1 second in the movie that just had such an impact on me when I was watching the movie. And I think that is so well done, and it kind of makes you respect all the work that goes into it. There's a team of people who wrote that scene and who animated that scene. And it's fantastic. If I ever get good at video editing, I want to do a show like 10 scenes that are too good for kids movies, something like that. That would be great. But yeah, so lots of movies to look forward to. For my game, I don't know, man. Anthem looks interesting. As a Destiny person, do you have any interest in Anthem?
I have no comment.
No comment? Oh.
I'll say this. This is what I will say. I will say that I really hope Anthem is the best possible game that it can be. I hope that BioWare has taken enough time to fully develop that game and to have a full roadmap on what we can expect for Anthem. And again, this is coming from a Destiny player and even a newly, Division player of, it's about the end game, man. Sure, the campaign can be whatever, the early stuff, that's fine, but what am I doing 3 months from now? What am I doing 6 months from now? A year from now? Those are the questions I've still not seen EA really answer yet for this game. I have my fingers crossed. Trust me, I want it to succeed, because if it succeeds, it's just going to push Bungie and Massive and all those guys to come out with even more amazing content, and that's the whole point of this, is to have good competition. So trust me, I don't want Anthem to fail at all. I just still need to see more. Yeah,
I kind of feel on that one. I feel there's a bit of a knowledge gap still between what they have shown and how fast it's coming out. Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people are on board, other than feeling they should be on board, because it's
and that's the thing. You're like, well, I guess I should be. Yeah. But wait, what have they shown you to actually make you say that? Yep, I'm on board with it. And that's kind of the problem. I have yet to see that wow moment of Anthem that makes me go, oh my God, I'll be playing this for 300 hours. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. No, and maybe it's there. Maybe it's there. I mean, I know they got some stuff coming up at the end of the month with I think there's a VIP demo or something that's coming out. I know they had the closed alpha, in December. So, I mean, it could turn out to be great. Maybe I'm just being a worrywart. But what scares me is I have the same feeling right now that I had with Mass Effect Andromeda before that came out.
Oof, that's not
good. Exactly. Where I was like, I don't know about this game. I don't know. I think I'm going to wait and see what people say before I pick it up. Yeah. And then sure enough, we saw how that turned out.
Yeah. Maybe they're just really bad at marketing. Maybe.
Let's hope so. Yeah. Let's hope they're just bad at marketing, but they make a kick-ass game.
Yeah. Oh, man. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that's the one that is slightly on my radar. We'll see, man. Like there's just too much. Like my game of the year this year was Celeste, which was a tiny indie game that back then everybody told me to play. It almost feels gross to say like, oh yeah, Celeste is my indie game of the year, because the game is so well loved and so well known now. It feels like a huge AAA game. But that's good. I always like looking forward in the beginning of the year, and since this is the first week of 2019, it was a perfect episode to do so. There's one more thing I want to touch with you on Parris, because it kind of goes into looking forward to 2019. You had a big of a tweet storm, not a tweet storm, just a couple of tweets about trying to be more positive 2019. And then you had to argue with someone who said, yeah, you should be, because like they gave you crap. I don't know how that resolved. Where does it come from, and how are you gonna push yourself to keep doing that? Because sometimes it's hard to stay positive in today's North America.
Well, it comes to, you ain't kidding about that, but it really just comes down to what I see on social media and just kind of curating my feed and just taking a lot of that negative stuff out of my feed. And then even in my real life interactions, I mean, who wants to hang around someone that's negative about everything? Like there's nothing positive going on in their lives. You tend to be who you hang out with, right? So my thought is, if I'm hanging out with people that are being positive, they're being influential in their lives and just doing good things, it's going to reflect on me as well. Same goes with social media, the people that I tend to interact with, who I reply to, the type of things that I see. And it was so funny, like you mentioned, I tweet that out, and I instantly get people that, are basically saying, well, and it gets into politics, so I won't go too thing into it. They're bringing up all the Trump stuff, whatever, blah 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 blah. But the whole point of it is, it's like, no, I'm saying, hey, let's not be negative. We don't have to agree on anything. I'm not saying we got to agree, but what are you doing positive in your life? Let's strive to do positive things. Let's strive to work together and curate things, and just be a positive influence to the people around you versus just being negative and complaining about everything all the time. I don't see how that's useful. And I'm old now, so it's like I'm old. I can't handle all that anymore. I just need happy people around me.
That's good. I like it. I think that's a good start of the year, and I hope it pays off for you as well, and that people don't give you grief for trying to be more positive. I think that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's such an oxymoron. I know, it's hilarious.
Some people, anyway. Parris, is an absolute delight to talk to you, because we don't get to do this enough. Tweeting back and forth is nice, but just sitting down, having conversations is great. I always end the show on a segment I call Podcast and Shill, where you can kind of promote yourself. Where can we find you? So where can we find you, and is there anything you want to highlight or something we should pay attention to that you want everybody to see?
I would say that you can find us at gamertagradio.com. You can also subscribe to our podcast using your favorite RSS feed catcher, be it Apple Podcasts, Audio Boom. I always joke around and say the ColecoVision, anything that you use for an RSS feed, you can subscribe to our podcast. We're on Spotify. I think we're about to go on Pandora as well. On social media, you can follow me. If you, like I said, you can see the ramblings of an angry but positive old man. That would be at Vicious696 on Twitter. I'm usually talking about any and everything there. And that's where you can find us. Trying to think anything to highlight. I know for sure. Matter of fact, when is this podcast coming out?
Monday.
Okay, perfect. If you're listening to this on Monday, our latest episode, which is also out on Monday, we recorded a pretty cool roundtable when we were all together in North Carolina with some other people that were there for the Division 2 event. We didn't talk about anything under Division 2. We actually were just talking about things, kind of almost like a wrap-up of 2018, just the industry, where it is, where we think it's going to go, things like that. It was a really fun conversation. I can't wait for people to be able to hear that. Like I said, I know in the upcoming weeks we'll have some additional content coming out, like for the Division 2 and some other things that we're working on. And it's just that's us, and having a lot of fun with it. Like I said, we stream on Twitch. I've kind of dusted off my YouTube channel, putting on some video content up there as well. So, if you're on YouTube, just search for Parris and you'll find me.
Awesome. That's great. So I always have to promote myself as well, because I sometimes forget. So everything what Parris said in the beginning about finding me on the RSS feeds, that was very good advice. You can do the same for me, because I am the Hashtagonist, and you can find my show under that name on many channels. I don't think I have anything to promote, because you're already listening to this episode. So I would ask you to come back again next week, and we'll have another cool guest for you. So Parris, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I know it took a while, but now we can scratch it off the list. We scratch that itch to podcast together. And I hope I run into you again 17 times soon, man.
I know. I look forward to that. Yeah. And again, thank you for having me on. I mean, this was a long time coming. I really appreciate it. And this is a lot of fun.
All right. Awesome. And if you're still listening to the show, and I have trouble closing out the show, but I'm going to do it anyway. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.